Hello and welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Miriam and today I am going to show you another tutorial that I have come up with. Earlier this week I was kind of playing around in EQ8. That's a quilt design software, and I was kind of playing around creating blocks and stuff, and I came up with this really cute butterfly quilt block. I have one hanging up back there because I just thought it was so cute and I wanted to hang it on my wall. I also have one here that I can show you. So it's a very simple, traditionally pieced quilt block that just uses strips and squares. And we are going to make one of these today, and I'm super excited to show you how to make it. I will be linking my blog down in the description box below. I'll be linking a specific blog post where I actually wrote out the instructions on how to make this quilt block if you would rather read the instructions than watch a video. And that will also have all of the pieces that need to be cut for this quilt block. So without further ado, let's head on over to the cutting mat and I will show you how to make this fun quilt block. Okay, so I'm at my cutting mat here. I've got my block and we are going to be making this in 3 different sections. First, we're going to make the large wing pieces. Then we'll make the small wing pieces. Then we'll make the body strip, and then we'll sew it all together. So first things first, we're going to make our large wings. So to do so, we first want to grab our 3 strips that we're using for the wing. I chose these really pretty fabrics. I have this one, it's got a really cute floral, and then I picked 2 coordinating solids that go with it. So what we need for the wings is, per wing, we need 1 of each one of our fabrics. And these strips are 2 inches by 6 3/4. Okay. So I'm going to get a floral one, a green one, and a purple one. And what we're going to do is we're just going to sew these 3 together in that order. And then basically when you're making the wings, you want them to be a mirror image of each other. So I've got 1 set of wings, they're lined up like this. And then the other set, I'm going to have them lined up like that. So see, it's a mirror image of each other. So I'm going to go ahead and take these to my sewing machine and I'm just going to sew them together lengthwise using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And then I'm going to also press those seams all to one side just so they're laying a little bit flatter. So let's go over and do that real quick, and then we will go on to the next part. I had to pause the video here just to give you a little sneak peek of the behind the scenes of when I'm pretty much doing any kind of sewing. Little Miss Kimchi, my sweet little kitten, likes to lay on quilting cotton. She is obsessed with fabric. So when I'm in the middle of cutting fabric, a lot of times she comes in and likes to, you know, be my little fabric weight, holds the fabric down while I'm cutting. So she's very helpful, aren't you, Kimmy? And she then proceeds to scowl at me whenever I try to move her. So I'm now going to move her, and she'll probably be back when I put down the next piece of fabric to cut. So just a little behind the scenes of what I have to go through every time I'm making anything related to quilting cotton. Right, Kimmy? Yes, sweet girl. All right, back to the video. Okay, we've got our 2 large wing pieces here now. Now for each one of these, I'm going to need 1 2 3/4 square. Let's see, where do I have those? That's over here. So 1 2 3/4 square, a 4.5 inch square, and a 2.5 inch square. So I need those 3 for each one. So I'm going to grab the other 3 for my second one here, just so I have those set aside. So first what we're going to do is I'm going to take my first wing piece, and as I am looking at it, this is the top of the wing and this is the bottom of the wing. Now at the top of the wing, I am going to place my 2 3/4 inch square, and I'm going to place it up here in this top corner, the top left corner. Okay. Then I'm going to take my marker and I'm going to mark a diagonal line. So from corner to corner. I'm just going to mark that. Okay, and I'm going to do that on both wings. So we're doing them at the same time. So right sides together. And on this one, remember, we're mirror imaging our wings. So on this one, I'm going to go up to the top right corner. And then I'm also going to draw my diagonal line with my pen. Okay, so I've got my diagonal lines. If you want to, you can stick a pin in these to hold them in place. But now what we're going to do is we're going to take this back over to the sewing machine, and we are going to stitch along that line that we marked, right on the line. So I'm going to do that on both of these pieces, and then I will meet you back here. Just like magic, I went ahead and I stitched that. So as you can see, hopefully you can see those stitches that go right across there. And now we are going to trim off this extra fabric that's here. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to line it up with that stitch line. And I'm going to leave 1/4 inch of that fabric for my seam allowance. So I'm going to line the 1/4 inch line on my ruler up with that stitch line. And then we just cut. Just like that. Set those aside. And then when I open this up, we've got our first corner piece added. Pretty cool, huh? So I'm going to do the same thing on this one. Line that 1/4 inch line up. And you're going to be doing this process for all of our added corner pieces. So I went ahead and did that on both. Now I'm going to take this to my ironing board real quick and just iron this over. I'm going to want the seams laying flat like that. So see here on the back of the one that I finished, all of my seams are laying flat against the background fabric. And it really helps the block to lay nice and flat when you're actually going to go and quilt the quilt. So we're going to just finger press that and then press that with my iron just so they're laying nice and flat. And then we'll add the next piece. There we have our pieces. They look so cute already. Now we are going to take our big 4.5 inch squares and we're going to place them underneath in the corner underneath the one that we just added. So on the left hand wing, we're going to place it over in this corner, like that. And you want there to be a little bit of overlap here. So that's good that that's happening. If you're familiar with flying geese, this is how you make a flying geese block. Flying goose block? Flying geese block? I don't know which way is the proper way to say it. Okay, so I've got these laid down. There's going to be a little bit of fabric on either side. That's what we want, okay? That is done purposely. This was such a fun block to design. I had a lot of fun just playing around in EQ8 to design this. But anyways, now we're gonna do the exact same process of drawing our diagonal line and then stitching it and then cutting it, leaving that 1/4 inch seam allowance. So I will walk you through that with this one again, just so you understand the steps and it makes sense to you. So we're gonna line my ruler up with this corner and with that corner. Take my marker and mark all the way down to that corner. And then the same with this side. Okay, now I have my marks. And I'm just going to take this over to my sewing machine and stitch that down, and then we will trim it again. Okay, so this is what they are going to look like once I have stitched. You can see my stitches. So now I'm just going to trim off this extra fabric. This is such a fun beginner quilt block. And I really like that it looks like it's kind of like a foundation paper piecing block, but it's not. You're just piecing it using the traditional simple method. So it's really beginner friendly and quite cute, if I may say so myself. All right. Now I've got those sewed down. I'm going to go ahead and just press that like I did the others. Remember to have that seam going towards the background fabric. Now those are laying nice and flat. Now we're going to take our last square for this part of the block, which is our 2.5 inch squares. And we're going to place them right sides together up here, up in that top corner. And again, there's a little bit of an overlap here where the two white pieces match, or where they meet, that's a good thing. And then we're going to take our ruler and draw our diagonal line from where the two white fabrics meet to this corner over here. There's one. And then our second one. Now I'm going to, I'm going to take these over to the sewing machine and do the exact same process. Stitch along that line, cut it, leaving a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then press that open. And there we have our 2 large wing pieces completed. Pretty cute, right? And simple to make. And I love those crisp corners that we hit where the background pieces meet. I think this is so fun. So I'm going to set these aside for right now. And now we're going to focus on making our small wing pieces, which are made exactly the same way as we made the large wing pieces. So I've got 2 rectangles here cut. I'm doing it with the same color as that center piece from the large wing. So these are cut at 3 3/4 by 2.5. So they're going to be kind of vertically placed. Then we are going to grab our 2.5-inch squares. And you're also going to need 2-inch squares. And 2 rectangles that are cut at 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. And those go on the outside once our wing pieces are made. So I will show you that whole process here. So first we're going to start with our 2.5-inch squares. And we are going to place them at the top of our rectangles. And it's the same width as the rectangle, so it's just going to lay right on top like that. Make sure you're putting them right sides together. And then we're going to take our ruler and our marker, and we're going to mark them diagonally. So the diagonal is kind of coming up like this and meeting at a point. So we want them going this way, diagonal. So I'm going to place my mark here from corner to corner. And then from here, corner to corner. Because remember, we want our wings mirroring each other. So there I have my 2, let me see if I can hold these up for you to see. My 2 pieces that have their marks on them. So see how the diagonal is coming up to a point? That's what we want. So now I'm going to take these and sew along that line, trim it, leaving 1/4 of an inch, and then pressing them towards that background fabric. All right, so that's what they are going to look like. So far, so good. Pretty cute. They go that way. All right, now we are going to take our 2-inch squares and we are going to place them up in the top right and top left corner. Like that. Remember, they're mirroring each other. That's kind of what they look like. Again, we have that overlap. And then I'm going to take my ruler and my marker and again do that same diagonal line. You can see there's a lot of repetition making this block. So once you get this technique down, you are golden to make this really cute butterfly block. So I've got my marks across. I'm gonna go stitch that down and do the same thing, trim and press, and we will meet back here. Okay, we now have our 2 little small wing pieces made. Aren't they so cute? It kind of looks like a flying geese block, but it's a little wonky, but that is how we make the small wings. Now all we need to do to make it wide enough for the block is we need to take our 2 3 3/4 by 2 3/4 rectangles, and we're going to add one to each one of these wing blocks. So I'm going to sew this one like that. We want the background fabric touching the background fabric basically on each one. So we're going to sew that like that, and then that one like that. So I'm going to do that real quick and we will come back. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to set those aside just for now. Now last we need to make the body. So our little body strip. So for the body, we have a strip that is 7.5 inches long by 1.5 inches wide. Then on the top, we're going to sew a 1.5 inch square. And then on the bottom of the body, we are going to sew a 1 3/4 by 1.5 inch rectangle. So I'm going to take that over to my sewing machine real quick, just sew these 3 pieces together, and we will then start to piece the pieces together to finish this quilt block. All right, I have our body piece made. Super simple. Now we're going to do the layout for our block just to see how it goes together. So we are going to take, let me turn this so you can see it a lot better. Just the camera a little bit here. All right, so we have our 2 large wings, then our 2 small wings. This goes like that. One goes like that. Really, the small wings, you can have them go either way. So you can have the larger square corner on the bottom or the top. So it can go this way, or you can flip them around and have it go that way. It's really up to you. I think it looks good either way. But that piece goes there, and then our body goes in the middle. So first things first, we need to sew the wings together. So I am going to put these right sides together like that. Line up the edges of the fabric right there, and then I'm going to stitch along here with a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to do the same thing with this side of the wings. So there is what the wings look like when they're sewn together, and now we just need to sew all 3 pieces together to finish this butterfly quilt block. So first I'm going to place this right sides together with this piece. I'm going to sew using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. Then I'm going to fold this over and sew this on using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So let's go over to the sewing machine and we'll do that here. And there we have it. It's all sewn together. Now all you need to do is just square up the block, trim it down. This is going to be a 9.5 inch block. So I have a 9.5 inch ruler. So I am just going to center that on the block. Just like so. And then I'm going to trim it. So this is 9.5 inches unfinished, 9 inches finished. I know sometimes that can be a little confusing. When someone refers to a block as unfinished, that just means when the block is standalone by itself. When they say that the finished block is a certain measurement, that means once the block is actually sewn into the quilt top. I'm going to turn this so it's easier to cut. So let me just trim this last edge. And there it is. Isn't that such a beautiful quilt block? Oh, I just love it. I love it so much. It's so cute. So springy, and it's a modern, kind of a modern take on a butterfly. And this is a really great scrap friendly quilt block. You could use all kinds of scraps. You could use a different fabric for each part of the wing. It doesn't have to be symmetrical like this. So this is a really fun, versatile quilt block, and I hope you enjoyed. Thank you so much for joining me for another tutorial I hope you really enjoyed making this block. I really enjoyed creating it. I'm actually thinking about maybe making a quilt pattern with this block in a larger, maybe a 12-inch block instead of a 9-inch. So let me know in the comments below if you would be interested in a quilt pattern with this quilt block, because I really like it. I think it's really cute and it's a lot of fun to make. It's a great beginner block, and just thank you guys so much for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Bye.